Okay, YouTube. I don't expect to have a big audience on this live stream. It's early in the morning on Sunday here in Richmond, Virginia. But I did want to put this out there for those who will be joining us after it's been posted up. I could just go and make a video and upload it, but I'm trying to save the memory. I don't have a lot of memory in my camera phone, my janky, busted camera phone. What's up, Karen? And so I did want to talk about my scouting trip. Uh, Morning, JA, Sunny, D. Wiggin, what's up? Man, I had a great live stream last night, but I was a little goofy. I was road weary last night. So I went down and I scouted out the downtown Virginia area this morning. And I did have a brief interaction with a police officer. They seem really nice and in good spirits. They don't seem like they're too worried about stuff today, anyway. Now, I will say that for parking, honestly, downtown Virginia is the worst case scenario. I can't think of something worse. I haven't been to New York, but there's just a lot more space in the West. And on the morning, Stephen, and everybody else that's Karen, what's up? More. I can't read all the little fine print. I need bigger glasses for the live stream. But it really is worst case scenario for parking down there. What you've got is a beautiful Capitol building. That's how I ended up talking to the police officer. I had my window down. I was drinking a cup of coffee, and I rounded the corner, and found myself at the base of the Capitol, looking straight up at it. And it's this big white gleaming, colonial structure. And I kind of went, oh, wow. And he looked at me and grinned, the policeman. And I was like, hey, morning. And he said, morning. I said, morning. And I said, man, it's beautiful. The Capitol does not look pretty from television, but it's a sunny morning this morning, and the bright white paint, it just popped. It seems to me like the area that's closed off for the rally is not going to be an issue. It doesn't look like you could fit a whole lot of people in that area right around the Capitol building anyway. And they've got like 8-foot chain link fence going all the way around. I did not see any SWAT vehicles. I didn't see anything but regular police vehicles. I did not see any militarized police out there. Everybody was just standard downtown cop looking guys, but this is the day before. But what I did find out was that they have signs up in really within walking distance of the Capitol where you can't park. And even if you could, I was down there on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m., which ought to be the easiest time of the week to find a parking place in any American city. And there was no place to park. And the big part of it is that downtown it's either corporate buildings with limited parking, and all the parking structures are closed for this. They're not going to let you park in any of these parking structures. And then in the surrounding areas, you've got this urban renewal, and so you've got a lot of converted lofts and downtown living. And I know from being an Uber driver that it's just really hard getting in and out. Those are my customers because they either don't have cars because there's no place to park them, or they don't want to move their car for fear of losing their parking place, and so they order food in. And so that's that kind of living in the downtown area surrounding the Capitol and the downtown area. And any place where you could street park, they've got it all shut down with signs that said on Monday, there's no parking. And so, people have said, park at the reason why the Capitol is such a bad area to try to find any place to park or approach it in any way is that it's surrounded by a river on one side and interstates on the other. There's only west. You can only go west, essentially. So, and I'm actually staying on the same highway that goes right down next to the Capitol. I'm staying off of Broad Street. Broad Street's is a really long. It's probably the old highway event, originally, East-West Highway, and it goes right into the downtown Richmond area, and that's really the only way to get to it. You got to get through the Arts District. I just don't see any place where I'm going to park my car and walk in. Not with this bad knee. If you were 20, it'd be different. I'd just put my pack on and I'd walk the 7 miles from my hotel room up there if I needed to. But, so, the getting there with a vehicle is difficult, so that's my main struggle today, is finding out how to get into downtown. So I think plan A at this point is probably Uber. Just have Uber pick me up and drop me right in the downtown area. I'm going as gray man anyway, so Uber shouldn't be an issue. What's up, Jenny? Yes, you caught me live. Let me paint a picture for you guys, because Jeff said sounds like fishing in a barrel, and not me. Yes, I do have armor. It's heavy steel armor, and I'm going to wear it under a big coat, so hopefully no one will even know I have it on. Um, Now there's going to be, I've heard up to 50,000 E-Rock, not 10,000. They want 10,000 just in the surrounded area, the behind the chain link, in the barrel, as it were. We're talking about shooting fish in a barrel. I don't like that position tactically. And you know what? Having looked at the Virginia Capitol House there, the Capitol building, I don't know why the governor's all bent out of shape. They possess the high ground. If you were to assault the capital of Virginia, you'd have a mighty hard time of it, because it's on a hill surrounded by a river and freeways. And in Texas, freeways are elevated, right? So there's all this life that goes on under the freeways. The freeways pass over our heads in Dallas, and we hardly notice it in Fort Worth. But here, because it's hilly, the highways, the freeways are ground into the earth in canyons, right? So the canyons and the river and all the on ramps also are kind of carved into. There's a lot of dead ends and a lot of one-way streets. It's really the most congested downtown area. It's worse than Portland. It's way worse than Portland. And so if you put 50,000 people just in the vicinity of the Capitol, it's going to be something people are going to be looking at from all over the world. What's up, Western Australia? And sorry, I'm talking to the folks in the live stream here. I got about 80 of you that are watching. Good to see y'all today. So the problem with what's up, Canada? The problem with the downtown area there is that there's just no way to park even remotely close. So if you're planning on just finding a parking place downtown and going to this rally, I don't know what you're going to find. There's no place even this morning to park within what I would call walking distance of that Capitol building. Now, so I'm thinking I'm going to have Uber pick me up and drop me in there. The problem is, will Uber pick anybody up on that day and take them to the Capitol if they're in on it? One thing I can say about the government being completely controlled by the left in Richmond is that they're not making this easy. They're going out of their way to make it difficult. The police seem like regular folks, but regular good cops on our people. What's up, Kentucky? But the way that they're being deployed is intentionally designed to make it, with the no parking signs and everything, they're just trying to keep you away. They're not trying to make it easy for you to attend the event. It's not like a rock concert where they're trying to figure out how to help people and facilitate people getting to and from the event. Here, they're trying everything they can do to prevent people from getting into the event. There's even situations downtown where they blocked off streets in a way that if you follow them, you'll find yourself on a one-way dead-end street. You can't even turn around and escape it. And it's definitely seems like the people that are in the downtown area are not trying to facilitate this, but trying to make it absolutely impossible to attend. So the people that are coming in on buses, and last time I heard, I did the math, you got 100 buses. Each bus is going to hold at least 100 people. So, that's 10,000 people being bussed in. And so I guess I could find myself on a bus trying to get in there. I could have Uber drop me off if Uber will take me. And then the other thing I'm thinking about is I might rent an electric vehicle, like an e-bike or a scooter. And potentially, if I rent it from the right place and they're not hating on everybody and trying to shut us down like the rest of the government is in Richmond, if they're willing to work with a man, maybe they will let me park my car at the place I rent the bike for the tour. They'll rent you a bike by the hour to ride around downtown. And so, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a logistic challenge. They're not making it easy. And I will say this, that they're talking about. Well, let's just talk about the feeling of Richmond right now. Even in the hotel lobby where all the people that are staying in this hotel are eating breakfast, you can clearly tell who the people are here for the rally and who the people that are here aren't for the rally, right? And the people that look like they're, well, let's just say country folk in this city area who look like country folk, who are dressed like country folks, boots and jeans and, hoodies with Real Tree logo on the back or something, they don't fit in here and they stick out like a sore thumb. And even with me, gray man, and I'm kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. You know, I was in the elevator with an African American gentleman, and he relaxed a whole lot when he found out I was a traveling musician. He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, what do you play?" Because see, everyone in this town is on edge. They've been told, they've been fed, and I saw it on the news this morning, a steady stream of lies that everyone that's coming to this rally are white supremacists. So the locals here have their hackles up, and they're really making it uh, uh, tense. You know, people just need to relax because this isn't a bunch of white supremacists coming. You know, it's just regular Joes, regular people that are here from the countryside of Virginia and from the country and other places to stand up for our Second Amendment rights. And we're getting a raw deal. We're being categorized as white supremacists, and we're being vilified in the press here locally and nationally. You should listen to CNN this morning. It's ridiculous. And but now, having said that we're not a bunch of white supremacists, let's talk conspiracy theories for a minute, because when I went downtown this morning, there wasn't many people out and about. Police standing their post, having their coffee, you know, on the street corner, waiting for stuff to heat up today and tomorrow. But there were this large group of young white guys who looked just like the people from Charlottesville with the torches, and the ones that people who were conspiracy theorists claimed were crisis actors. So I saw a group of young men who just fit the absolute, I mean, they're dressed almost in a uniform. They're all dressed the same, and they're going in packs, 20, 25 people in a pack. And they're all probably under 21. And, you know, they don't look like the pro Second Amendment people. They look like the ones from Charlottesville who made national news with their torches. And I think most people thought that those people were paid crisis actors from the left, that they weren't even real, and that was a big setup. So I don't know how to say this next part, because I don't know. I'm hesitant to even bring this up. I have to bring this up, because even though these guys all look the same, the way they dressed, their haircuts, when you look them in the eye, they aren't all the same. They don't seem like they go together. It's a hunch. It's a hunch backed up by this one thing. Now you're going to think I'm arrogant or weird by saying this, but I can't help but just tell you that I've been throughout my life something they call gay bait. And maybe it's the piano player vibe. Maybe it's because all the martial arts training, I walk really light on my feet. I don't know. But I get the hey baby look from gay men on a regular basis, okay? And so in this group of white supremacists who are supposed to be these super macho, you know, young troublemaking thugs, right, is a young man who sees me looking at them, and he gives me the hey baby look. That doesn't fit the narrative. Like, I'm pretty sure that guy was a gay man. Straight men don't look at other men that way, right? And so even though they looked like a cohesive group, to me, it looked to me like they were not a cohesive group. They were just dressed like a cohesive group. Does that make sense? Like, they didn't seem like they were together, even though they were moving together. Well, people have been reporting for 3 days that look, let's not gay bash here. That's not what this is about. I'm trying to give you some intel. Let's not change the narrative if you want to stay in the chat room with us here. We're not talking about that topic. I just happened to bring it up because I found it odd in that I found it odd that there were people in that group that didn't seem to belong, even though they looked like they were supposed to belong. So, yeah, that's the thing. There's kind of like a Nazi haircut, according to the left, and the people on the left have labeled a certain haircut, which is a little high, a little taller on top and really cut short on the side, and they call it a Nazi haircut. And that's the only thing these young men had in common, is they all had the same haircut. Did they just do a casting call for anybody with that haircut? Hey, if you wanted to get a gig being a white supremacist at this rally, just agree to get the haircut. That was the strangest thing about this, is that if you get a bunch of people together, nobody, yeah, they did look like fresh haircuts. If you get a group of regular humans together, they don't all have the same hairstyle. Even if they come from the same club, go to a shooting range. You got guys with hair over their ears, guys with no hair and shaved heads. You got guys with buzz cuts. You got guys with long hair pulled back in a ponytail, right? Okay, clearly I've talked about a topic. I'm going to terminate the live stream if y'all don't change the subject. I don't want this to turn into something it's not supposed to be. So stop with it. You know who you are. I'm about to terminate the live stream, and you can all talk to yourselves in some other chat room. Yeah, it's not a military haircut. I think the military would let you leave as much on top as these guys do. It's almost like, they say that it's the haircut's related to Nazi Germany, and that's why they call it Nazi haircuts. It's a Hitler haircut. I don't know, but the thing about the group of guys is they just look suspicious. They look like they were acting. Is it weird? I'm not one of these guys that, the Peaky Blinders haircut. Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. So, the haircut's called a fascist? Who labeled it that? Not the people getting the haircut. I was afraid when I first heard about the haircut. When I went to get a haircut, the lady asked me how I wanted it cut, and I'm like, okay, just don't give me the Nazi cut, okay? But yeah, downtown area. Here's another thing. Let's talk about logistics here, because I think a lot of us are concerned about what might go down as far as any kind of Las Vegas type of event that could happen there. I think that's probably everyone's worst nightmare. If you could ask the police, that's their biggest fear, is that someone's going to get up in one of those high buildings with a firearm, right? And I think that's why we've talked about how the militia was here first to make sure that they knew where the high ground was, so they wouldn't be victim to some kind of attack from the high ground. I think the police are Steven, you're cracking me up. I'll take the fascist look to your hairstylist. Give me the fash, would you? No. I just don't look like I'm from the 70s, because, I'm from the 70s. So I think that the thing that concerns me most about that downtown area, especially that barrel they're trying to put everybody in, is it's surrounded by high ground. And right next to the Capitol is some kind, I'm going to go down there to take some pictures today, but right next to the Capitol building, there's some kind of structure that is being under construction. And so it's a concrete structure without any other stuff to it. And it's completely surrounded by really high construction. So only construction people who work for that construction company would be allowed to go in there. I don't know if they're permitting police to go in there. It's private property. Police can't just go, hey, I'm going to set up in that half-built building up there. You don't mind, do you? Could they do that with a warrant? Sure, but I don't think they're going to. I don't know that they would have the grounds to do such a thing. So there's going to be these privately controlled buildings that may have some security or none at all. I mean, I could see how a basic military trained guy could discreetly clip a hole in the plastic fence there and go into that structure and climb up to the top. And I don't know that anybody would see him do it unless they had a helicopter or drones. And there may be those happening as well for surveillance for police. It's going to be an interesting study in future events, just seeing how they do the security here and how it's perceived from law enforcement. And I'm sure there's been clashes between law enforcement and private companies, unless the law enforcement don't care at all about the high ground. But I don't know why the governor is so upset. He has the high ground, and that's the highest point, except for that building behind it that's overlooking it, that's half built. I don't know if it's a parking structure that's under construction there, but as I drove through, that's the building that gave me the chills. If there was going to be something bad happen, it would be happening from the top of that building, because it has bird's eye view of the entire event. I'd love to have a lawn chair and just sit up on top of that parking structure. Ooh, my phone's falling over. I'd like to sit on top of that parking structure just to watch, but that's also a really bad place to be watched from. And so I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow as far as, it looks to me like the area they've got roped off, I wouldn't go in there anyway. It's like If you could have a bullhorn from that hilltop of the Capitol building, and I think you could hear it all the way downtown, all the way down to the river. So we should be able to hear just fine if the bouncing of sound off the buildings isn't too much. Virginia city official brings. Okay, I think I saw that. That was a couple of days ago. Yeah, this is definitely, Andrew, this is definitely the opposite of that. You see little to gain for our side by going to this. Plowboy, I absolutely have to disagree with you. I think that anytime a bully says, don't do this, or else, you have to cross the line and say, okay, now what? Or else what? Or else what, buddy? What? And if you don't treat bullies that way, then they win. That's how they win. They can win without even having to actually stand up and do anything. They can just, or else, okay? Anytime somebody does that to me, I'm like, or else what? What you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Sorry, I don't mean to trigger you. But that's how I handle a bully. And so that's what we collectively have to do to this governor. We have to say, or else what? You're gonna arrest 50,000 people? Or else what? You're going to shoot at us? What are you talking about? Or else what? What are you saying? So if I had any doubt they were bullying us to try to make us not come, I would, that was gone after examining the area downtown. They're intentionally trying to make this difficult, not easy for you to attend. And so what does our side have to gain by attending? It's more about what do we have to lose by not attending. If we don't show up in force, then future gun control, gun grab, power grabs by the left of previously red states, sorry, my phone is coming off the stand here, then they will absolutely be winning. They'll win. They'll just win. They'll just continue to. You know why we found ourselves in this situation to begin with? Because we were afraid to stand up for ourselves at the very first time that we want common sense gun control. We should have told them the only thing that's common about gun control is if you're trying to disarm the American people so you can take over the government, or you can tell us what to do. You can come stand in our house and tell us when we can get out of bed and when we can go to the bathroom at night, right? It's about domination. So if you're wanting to disarm me, it's for the purpose of overpowering me and dominating me and controlling me. And we didn't stand up in the very beginning. The very first time somebody in New York passed a gun law that made New Yorkers unable to carry a firearm, we should have all gotten our pickup trucks and went to New York and went, no, this is not right. The only thing that would that allows evil to prosper is when good men do nothing. That's all they need to succeed, is for us to do nothing. And this is why I'm here. Plowboy, you hit at the core of why I came to this thing. Now, do I want to go into the little goat pen? Do I want to go in there in the little pen, where they can do whatever they want to us? No, I'm not going in there. And I don't think anybody else ought to go in there. Evil wins when good men do nothing. It's why I'm here, to do something. We should have done something a long time ago. We're not talking about overthrowing the government. We're talking about having our voices heard. That we are telling you all, we don't care what laws you pass. If they violate the Constitution, we're not going to comply. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to drive 1,300 miles to do that, right, then, well, was it Ben Franklin that said, or Thomas Jefferson that said, those who would give up liberty for security deserve neither security nor liberty. And that's how I feel, So, yeah, am I afraid that this could turn into a mess? Honestly, I'm more afraid of getting stranded down there with my bad knee and not being able to get back to my hotel room. Because you can only kill me once. But as far as any blue hats, as far as any out of normal things, in my first initial run downtown, I did not see any sign of United Nations. I didn't see any signs of any militarization. If people are telling you that there's a bunch of tanks and military stuff down there, well, they're probably showing you a picture from someplace else, because I went down there, and other than the roads being closed off in certain areas, and announcements that other roads will be closed tomorrow, pretty much the whole area right down around there you won't be able to drive up to. But there's not any good parking anyway, so I don't know how I'm going to get down there. That's my biggest concern, not what they're going to do to me, but how do I get in and out of this thing? And the whole world's watching. Are we legally allowed as American citizens to confiscate UN arms? I would say, as an American citizen, what makes American citizens different is that we don't get allowed to do anything. That's what they don't understand. You don't allow American citizens. American citizens are the government. We, the people, are the government. We send our representatives up there. It's why we're a republic, not a democracy. We send representatives up there to represent us, but we are the ones in authority and power. And UN troops on American soil, armed UN troops on American soil, is an invasion, and it's every right and every obligation of an American citizen to stand up to that. That's an act of invasion. It's an act of war. I don't care if they call them peacekeepers. Armed UN troops in America. That's the whistle going off. That's the flag going up. That's the crap hitting the fan, people. That's the SHTF. So we aren't seeing that because they aren't stupid enough to do that. They're just not stupid enough to do that. Not in America. Because they know that we're not subjects. We're not even citizens. We're co-owners in this great land, every last one of us. Okay, is it right to engage? Absolutely. I think it's morally an obligation to disarm UN troops on American soil. And if the government won't do it, then we, the people, have to step up and replace the government so we can do it ourselves through the government. We should still do it through the government. Our problem is with the government that won't stand up to the UN. The United Nations have no place carrying arms in the United States, period. That's a foreign invasion, and I don't care what the people in charge say. We sent them up there, we'll call them back. That's how it works in our country. Yeah, it's been a long forgotten fact. I don't know who's forgot it. Maybe a lot of youngsters never learned it. That's the problem. A lot of youngsters never learned that we, the people, are the actual government, and those people up there just represent us. And when they stop representing us, then they need to be pulled back or kicked out of office. And worst case scenario, they have to be arrested if they won't stand down. I'm not sure who handles United Nations security. I believe it's American security. It's American feds that handle the security at the United Nations. We're the host country. I've never heard of a UN-based soldier carrying arms in America unless it's part of some joint training effort at a United States military base. What are you saying? You're from I'm from the United Nations. Oh, Rory, you're not messing with me. You're just messing with me. You're my friend. No, you're from a United Nations. You're not from a United Nations country. You're from Ireland, aren't you? The Civic Center parking is closed. It just looks to me like they only opened that up for events, or it went by there this morning. I'm going to go by again this afternoon, and they had the steel gates down on those parking garages around the convention center. So an answer to a question that was up there. Right, if the UN hits the soil hot, you will be able to pick up their weapons pretty quick. I agree. It's Red Dawn stuff if that happens, if you ask me. Well, those ghost ARs apparently, even though they're 100% legal, they're starting to really the press is starting to really zero in on homemade guns and making it seem like you're an extra special criminal if you have one that you didn't buy from a gun shop. So these guys that are building their own ARs are being demonized already. The Almighty says, tomorrow the police in Virginia need to be asked if they are a front line of defense for the public or for corruption and treason. if I can get one to, if anybody could get a cop to talk to him, it's me. I just come across, even though I'm not, I come across as either a friend of, I mean, I'm a friend of the police, but I come across as either former law enforcement or I come across as a veteran. A lot of people think I'm a veteran, although I will claim some veteran status because the old Marine put me in boot camp for 18 years. I had to run away at 17 to get out of boot camp. So I handle a weapon like a Marine because I do a lot of things like a Marine. I make a bed like a Marine. I take a shower like a Marine. I pack my suitcase like a Marine. I prefer a duffel bag over a suitcase. But if I could get the police to talk to me, that's the thing. They might talk to me today. Like that guy said, good morning to me, because I was in awe of the Capitol building. I was like, whoa, it's pretty, the sunshine on it. If anybody, thanks AM, thanks Amber for the support. I sure appreciate the support in helping me pay for my gas and my expenses out here. And I only come across as a gay veteran to gay veterans, I guess. But so if I can get a cop to talk to me, I do want to know what they have to say. I spoke to that police officer in Bristol when I had breakfast on the way out here, and the consensus I'm getting even the vibe that I got from the cops on the street in downtown Virginia is they think this is all a bunch of BS. That they're in favor of our Second Amendment rights. They're not in favor of the gun grab. They're doing their jobs for now, and they're not going to do anything unconstitutional. I just have that. Maybe I have a better faith in your average run-of-the-mill police officer. A lot of these guys will go down to the shooting range, and they're the guy in the partition next to you down at your indoor shooting range in town. Keeping their skills up. And I shoot in IDPA lots of times with police and Navy SEALs, and gun guys are gun guys. It goes back to this thing with the Antifa too. I said this 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago when I first started my channel, is that why are you saying that police are tyrants, Zora? If somebody breaks into your house in the middle of the night, who are you going to call? Okay, so I'm reporting you. All right. Okay. And I'm also now going to remove your content. And hide the user on the channel. Bye. Bye. You're out of here. I just bouncered that dude. There was one comment a second ago that I really gun cabinet in my bedroom. That's what I mainly want from government. Yeah, definitely a psychopath, and that person needed to go. I hope that's who you're talking about, Mike. It's that person I kicked out. I know I need to set it up. There's a million things happening at once. Was that a troll? I don't know if that was a troll or a cry for help. But he can go cry someplace else. We're trying to have a meeting here, doggone it. Right, probably has like 8 profiles or a bot. I don't know. When anybody misbehaves, and I try to moderate as best I can. I need to set up moderators. My biggest thing is time. It just seems like it's a whole lot of time, that I can't get. It's too much stuff to do and not enough time to do it in. But we were talking about something else before they interrupted us with all the hate there. I haven't met up with anybody. I got in late last night. I got dinner. I crashed because I didn't have a good night's sleep the night before. Excellent bed with awesome pillows. That's not always the case in hotels. I got lucky. And the person that I've banned was talking about murder, talking about how they want to commit murder, so they were out of here. That's violent speech. I don't, uh, if anybody on our side commits any violence, it's in self-defense. Period. Yeah, I got lucky with the hotel room. Had a good night's sleep. So went out this morning. I just grabbed a cup of coffee, got in the car, and drove downtown to just survey the situation. And that's when I realized that there's no way I'm going to get any kind of downtown parking area anywhere close to walking. I mean, I could get lucky. I'm blessed like that. I used to have a secular friend that she would tell me that I have special parking fairies that favor me. I had another friend called Parking Angels. Yeah, there are shades of Las Vegas. This is a better shooting pool than Las Vegas. I mean, this place is dangerous. It's not tactically correct because there are those under construction buildings overlooking it. There's not a lot of high ground overlooking this that's not Capitol buildings and not under the control of the city or the state rather. But that one under construction building sent chills up and down my back. I mean, and surely I'm not the only old, gunny that looks at that and goes, "Hey, you guys should probably check that out and make sure nobody gets up there." So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be careful, and the main thing I'm going to do is, and here's the thing, I'm even thinking about just going unarmed. That way, if the cops want to frisk me up, oh gosh, we've got a bunch of. We have a bunch of trolls attacking us. We're under troll attack. I guess they're going to, if there's anything on this subject with the words in the title, that they're going to be in here trying to stop us, trying to make us look bad. So I'm just going to have one thumb on the channel here. What general was I talking about the other day? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I have a cousin, Marine Corps general. I'm not sharing his name, though. And technically, he's a half cousin. So if you did the DNA on us, we'd be like second cousins. He's my daddy's half brother's kid. Oh, General Shepard. He's not an actual general. Yeah. General Shepard, if you type that in and you click on the right channel, you'll find, thanks Bayonet, you'll find information on there that will lead you to a certain banned content from somebody that shouldn't have been banned off everything but is, and he's still on YouTube, much to their chagrin, and a lot of that has to do with General Shepard rather. He's just a YouTuber. I was surprised to see him in my live chat. General Patton, I did talk about General Patton last night. He slapped somebody, and that's what I want to do to some of these people sometimes, give them a General Patton slap for being girly men. So a Bernie campaigner was caught saying he wanted to kill Trump supporters because they were fighting against the revolution. So I haven't had a chance to talk about that much. You're referring to the Project Veritas video, which I'm sure you can find online. Thanks, Captain, you know who. Thank you for the prayers. I appreciate all that. What were we talking about? I have to go back up. I got sidetracked. That's the hardest part about doing live streams, is keeping your train of thought. Yeah, I'm just going to back this up and see if I can find what triggered that question. Oh, the Bernie supporter. Yeah, Project Veritas. Glad I can back that up. Project Veritas. Oh, thanks, Roper. They had an undercover reporter catch one of Bernie Sanders' key local campaign officials. So he's the head of a local area campaign, and they got him, running his mouth and telling the truth about honestly, it's nothing different than what I told you about Antifa 2.5 years ago. that when one of my friends turned to Antifa, the stuff that were coming out of their mouth was just unbelievable. I could not believe they were saying it. They were saying stuff. Well, when my jovial, laid back female friend, when I tell her you're going to get yourself killed trying to hang out with these people that are overthrowing the government, and she says, okay, well, I hope my death is swift. How do you deal with that mentality? That these people, they do want a war, not a civil war. They want a communist revolution, and they are willing to kill gun owners and Christians and conservatives. And Antifa, which is what basically you're dealing with, this guy supporting Bernie, people that Trump is the white supremacist candidate, okay? Well, Bernie is the burn it down communist anarchist overthrow the government revolutionary weatherman candidate, okay? And so this guy that they got on tape is just saying the same stuff I told you 2.5 years ago that these people believe. That they want to burn it all down and start over again. They want to put all the Christians in gulags and make them renounce their religion. And, this is the beast system. If they manage to pull it off, they will march you down to the guillotine and chop your head off, and they'll clap about it and have a great party over it because they're that sick. This guy that the Project Veritas got on camera is one of those people. I think he was honestly reeling it back a little bit, like he was being a little bit politically correct compared to how he really feels. If he really told you how he felt, he would line us all up and shoot us right now. See how many he could get with a single bullet. This is how bad these people are, and Bernie Sanders is the leader of their little cult. And he may not even know it. He might not even know that the people under him, but Antifa and these people, they have a saying. Liberals get the bullet too. That's on Antifa signs. It's on they'll have it on big sheets written out in what looks like blood, but it's red paint or whatever. Liberals get the bullet too. It's you'll have the Antifa symbol in Portland sprayed on the side of a building with those words. Liberals get a bullet too. And so what these people that are letting these little communist revolutionaries into their circle, right? What they don't understand is that when the crap hits the fan, they're going to turn on the Democrats first. Bernie Sanders will get put in office just long enough to watch the rest of the country burn to the ground, and he won't be able to do a thing about it, right? Because he wouldn't be that kind of president. I don't think he's got the skills. He ain't no Reagan. He ain't no Trump. He ain't no Lincoln, right? Portland is not just a breeding ground for Antifa. In my opinion, it's kind of where it all started in the country. Some people argue other places, but for me, it comes from those people who were forced into economic poverty during the 2008 breakdown. They came up during that period of time when the economy was crashed, and they have decided that it's the government's fault, that it's the white people's fault, that it's the patriarchy's fault, that they have to work 2 jobs to rent a dirty mattress in a corner and ride a bicycle to work, even though they're making $12 an hour. That's life in Portland for you. The government reading people's thoughts. I'll have to... it almost seems like they can read your thoughts, but it's this AI predicting what you're going to do next because it's watching you all the time. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't care if the camera in my phone is watching me all the time. It's not the government watching it. It's some private organization who's feeding the information into the superbrain, this superbrain computer called artificial intelligence, and it begins to be able to predict. You know what? It's Minority Report. It's the beginning of Minority Report. Eventually, they will start arresting people based on what they think they're thinking. But like when you get in the bathtub and you turn the water on and you set the phone by the bathtub, right? And then bubble bath commercials come onto your phone as you settle in to take your bath additives. And I've had this experience. You're working on your car and your phone's sitting up there, and you click on there and it's a Napa commercial on your phone. No, metal straws aren't allowed unless they're under 2.5 inches. Yeah, Minority Report and red flag laws that's what they want them for, so they can arrest you for thinking the wrong way, for wrong think. They come take your guns away because they think they know what you're going to do next. So, what are the origins of this? Lori Chow says, "A house divided cannot stand. This is a demonic attack that has seeped into our nation and half of the people's minds and hearts." So, it started a long time ago. A lot of my generation kind of rolled their eyes at what we call McCarthyism. How dare he accuse everyone of being communists? It's just, but in retrospect, McCarthy was right. Communism had, clear back in the 1950s, infiltrated the United States civilization population at the artist level, right? At the priest level. Like, there's artisans and there's craftsmen and there's regular workers and there's, the different classes, the artist class, the intellectual class, the yeah, Joe McCarthy was right. I mean, all of these, if our forefathers had done a better job in the 1960s and 70s of routing out these communists and not letting them become professors in our universities, we would not have this problem that we're having right now. The problem we're having isn't guns. The problem we're having isn't even, in my opinion, culture or morality. The problem that we're having is communism. Communism is the ultimate spirit of control, and it is full force infiltrated into our psyche, into our culture. It's taken over the younger generation. My generation didn't seem to be affected by it as much. They hadn't, well, most of us didn't go to college. We were too busy, rock and roll and chasing the what is it, the the Grateful Dead. We're on tour with the Grateful Dead that whole decade, Am I a McCarthyist? I think if what you're saying is, I think we should rout out people who are communist. And here's the thing: every ideology is allowed in the American culture, as long as its ideology isn't to destroy the American Constitution. And this is why communism can't be allowed. I argued with Tim Pool in Portland. I met him there at a rally, and he was kind of saying that, communists have the right to be communists. And I'm like, no, they don't. Not in this country. They'll be communists someplace else. It's the one ideology that is opposed to the United States Constitution. It's opposed to the Second Amendment. It's opposed to the First Amendment. It's opposed to the Fourth Amendment. It's opposed to the Fifth Amendment. All right? They don't want you to have privacy. They don't think you have the right to speak unless you're going to speak what they tell you to speak. Communism is anti-Americanism, and it does not have a place in our country. So maybe I am a McCarthyist. I'll own that. I think they all ought to be, well, offered the chance to deport or go to prison for the rest of your life if you're a communist. Because it's anti-American at its core. Denounce communism or go to jail. It's the one First Amendment thing that should not be protected because it's sedition. Communism equals sedition. Get that for a bumper sticker. Communism equals sedition against the American people. So anytime you make a political statement and you apply it to everyone of any race, Daryl, then that makes you a racist. So the problem with communism is it's not the Jews. Okay, the problem with communism is it's communism. Okay. Slippery slope. No, I do not believe in absolute freedom because here's the problem. Communists use our freedom against us. So you've got to stop that. You've got to head it off at the pass. All right? You got to make sure that people that want to do away with our freedom of speech do not stand behind our freedom of speech to do it. Just like these Antifa bearing arms down here, I'm not gonna walk beside Antifa and go, "Hey, we're all on the same side now." No, you're a communist. I mean, look at my video. You're a communist. I danced around in front of Antifa in Portland and stuck my finger in their face and went, "You're a communist." And they went, "Okay, so what?" Of course, they'll own that. They'll say they're communists. I got a problem with that. My family's got blood on the battlefield fighting communists in other countries. And now we've got them here. So our problem is this guy pretending to be a Democrat in Virginia as governor is a communist. Virginia, you elected a communist as a governor. And he's proving it because communists are totalitarians and they don't want you to have freedom of speech. They don't want you to have a Second Amendment. They want to be able to come into your house and look in your sock drawer. They want to be able to pull you over whenever they want and ask for your papers and search your car and make sure you're not thinking the wrong way. It may sound hypocritical that I'm saying everyone but communists have the freedom of speech, and communists are saying everyone but us. And only communists have freedom of speech. You know, somebody's right and somebody's wrong in this scenario. And you know, if your speech is against the Constitution, it should not be allowed. How's that? It's not like little minor things we don't agree on here. This is the difference between I have a right to own any gun I want, or you have no right to own any gun at all. There's no, you know, it's black and white if you ask me. Okay, so Douglas MacArthur, what he's talking about is, Dusty's talking about Douglas MacArthur, I think I said MacArthur, and George S. Patton both, I think, wanted to just go on and finish the fight against the communists in Russia at the end of World War II. Instead of declaring peace when Nazis were beaten, they wanted to keep marching until they were in Moscow. And a lot of people say that had we done that, we would not be dealing with the remnants of communism today, which are actually in so many ways just as dangerous as the giant communist countries of the past. John Mark, let's talk about John Mark for a minute. Then I got to get to work figuring out how I'm going to get downtown, and I got to go buy a toothbrush because I lost mine along the way somewhere, and I have a yucky mouth. Be glad this isn't smell-o-vision. So what was I going to talk about? I had a topic. John Mark. Okay, so John Mark is a YouTuber whose channel is younger than mine. John Mark, I think his channel is only about a year old. He started, his first video was basically explaining why the grassroots right would win against the left in an open civil war. And did I say John Mark? I don't know. He's the guy with the red motorcycle helmet. He never shows his face. So his first big video was why the grassroots right would win, and then he's built on that on a concept of proprietarianism. Now, I haven't gotten into the basis behind that and too deeply. I've been busy, but I intend to. But what he is talking about is something I made a video about and got attacked pretty hardcore on my channel by people that didn't believe this, but I talked about peaceful separation versus civil war. And so John Mark believes that we should separate. This is why I'm in favor of the counties in Virginia who are unhappy with the new laws seceding from Virginia and joining West Virginia peacefully. And hopefully the communist governor of Virginia won't try to stop them from doing that. See there, Andrew says it's a horrible idea to separate. Here, why you want 10 million dead people? That's the alternative. The alternative is to fight a war over. I don't want Richmond, Virginia. I'm only here because I need to be here to defend the Second Amendment. I'm sorry. All these cities, in my opinion, are all S-holes. Okay, L.A., Dallas. Honestly, you know, if I never went into another big city in the rest of my life, it would not bother me one bit. They don't produce anything in the cities. That's not where things are made. It's where decisions are made, right? It's where government lies. It's where leadership hangs out, but it's out in the suburbs and the countryside where the real work gets done. We could live without them. They couldn't live without us, right? Is West Virginia any better? Absolutely. West Virginia is a sanctuary state, a Second Amendment sanctuary state. They're one of the people, I mean, they don't have a big city in West Virginia trying to shut them down. It's the cities that are the problem. It is not, what is it about communism that breeds in the city? I don't know. It's because they're so used to being controlled about where they can park, about where they can, you know, one way, no right turn. You know, it's just like everything about their life is controlled in the city, so they have no problem controlling other people. Yeah, everywhere west of Richmond is like West Virginia. You know, really. When I asked the sheriff in Bristol whether or not he thought that was a good idea, he said it wouldn't bother him at all to leave Virginia and join West Virginia. We should just move it over there if they won't play along. He liked the idea. So I'm more about a peaceful separation. Let's let these city-states build a wall around themselves. Let's let these city states do what they want. They can disarm their people. They can violate the Constitution. We'll just pull them right out of our country and give them those concrete jungles like Escape from New York. And then we can set up trade deals with them. And then we can set up borders and boundaries, have crossings. You know, if they want our green beans, then they're going to need to pony up the iPhones, right? That there's a way of doing this. There's a way of doing this without it being violent. It's just a matter of whether you're willing to sit down at the table and talk about it, or whether you're going to take the extremist view that it's our way or the graveyard, right? That's what both sides on the extreme are saying. That either you guys in the city, you know, do it the way we want to do it, and you live with whatever problems you're having with guns and crime and without involving us, right? Which is what they should do. They should just pass city laws. They shouldn't try to pass laws for the guy that's got the 223 in his window for killing coyotes out in, you know, on the West Virginia border. I guess they have coyotes in Virginia. I don't even know that. So I've said all along that the righteous, godly answer to civil war in America is separation, is peaceful separation. Virginia exit, there you go. And I feel the same way about the people living in eastern Oregon and eastern Washington. They need to separate their counties and join Idaho, okay? The Northern California, they need to separate and join with Nevada and Eastern Oregon and create some kind of new Jeffersonian state, or they need, you know, they need to be allowed to join a state they agree with. Okay, Andrew, and I've interacted with you positively in the past, but I just, you know, let's make this about ideas, not about race or sexual identity or color or religion. Let's make this about the Constitution. Yeah, I think Idaho is pretty pro-Second Amendment, although there's a YouTuber in Idaho that's being horribly victimized over the state that's trying to control what he does on his own private property. Like, he built a house and they said he couldn't, even though he lives way out in the sticks. I forget the guy's name, but he's a YouTuber, you know, like a homesteader. And Idaho, that's my beef with Idaho right now, is I can't believe that they're being so draconian with their building codes on somebody who lives out in the country. They're trying to get him to tear down his house. So there's, you know, Idaho's not perfect, but it's definitely a pro-gun state. Yeah, well, mountain lions are a big problem in Northern California too. People are getting snatched off the jogging trails right in the edge of the cities. I got mountain lions out there where I live in Texas. One almost got my daughter. My big dog saved her. I had a big dog back then. Where's Virginia's overrun with coyotes? I don't know much about the East Coast at all, honestly. This is a fun trip for me, and if it wasn't so serious, right? Because I haven't been out to this part of the country, and I did enjoy seeing the Capitol and being a tourist this morning. The ADL says anti-communism is anti-Semitism. Well, the ADL might very well get labeled a communist organization if they keep talking like that. Where am I going to be? Well, if I can figure out how to get downtown, I'm probably going to hang out at the base of the hill in front of the Capitol. That seems like the easiest place to approach on foot, where there's going to be people coming and going. There's several different gates going in and out. I may hang around where the gates are. I'm definitely not going to go into the disarmed area. Wearing it. See you, Caleb. What do I see happening? Okay, so even though I coffee talk about the strangest topics, and even though I try to make, you know, big sweeping guesses about what's going to happen in the world, ultimately I'm pretty optimistic. I have a lot of hope still, and I think that yeah, I'm thinking about being less armed instead of more armed as part of the gray man solution. I'm pretty dangerous without a firearm, if you want to know the truth, even though I'm old. Sorry, I dropped out for a minute there. My phone's got a bug, and some app tried to take over, and it bumped me offline. So I hope everybody can still see me, and we're still streaming. Hopefully, had an interruption there. But what do I think will happen? I think that we're going to have a big peaceful rally, and that nothing's going to happen. And if Antifa shows up there, they're probably going to be so stinking scared that because they're going to be so horribly outnumbered that they're not going to do anything but clap when the speakers say something they agree with. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a straight up non-event. It's just going to be us voicing our opinion, and then nothing bad will happen. Now I'm concerned, last night, one of the senators from Virginia, I guess that's who it was a state representative or something, a lady, came out with a very detailed announcement saying that she had uncovered orders to, if anything goes wrong, if anyone gets hurt, that they're going to arrest anybody that's got a patch on that might look like militia. So with that statement, it appears that the state of Virginia is declaring war against the militias. They're making it so you can't even wear a militia marking. That they might go after the people that are wearing the "Don't Tread on Me" patches, but the state of Virginia issues a license plate with the Dresden flag or whatever it is with the coiled snake that says "Don't tread on me." There's lots of cars running around Virginia with that state-issued license plate. Are they going to get arrested for being in a militia? So there's not an anti-militia law in Virginia, but what the representative was saying is that the governor intends to use the Patriot Act and anti-terrorism acts that were designed to ferret out sleeper cells from the Middle East against the American people, and to declare them domestic terrorists and then arrest them all for being domestic terrorists just because they're dressed in a certain way. And if that happens, well, I'm going to find a grate in the sewer, and I'm going to climb down inside of it and wait for the smoke to clear before I come out, because it's going to be super ugly. So, but anyway, look, guys, I got a lot to do. If you just joined me, I'm sorry, but I do have to head out because I've got to get on my computer and find some way, a ride, a Uber, an e-bike, a jetpack, something to get me from where my car is to this event. So I've got to go figure that out, guys. If you want to talk to me, if you're going to be at the rally and you want to interact with me, then I'm open to that. I'm going to be out in public. And so it's a good chance to meet me if you're going to be down there. I do need an electric scooter, something like that. Then you can email me at sageland2019, sageland2019 at outlook.com. Sageland2019 at outlook.com will get you in touch with me personally, and we can meet up at the rally. My only thing is I may meet up with somebody if they can give me a ride in, but then I don't know who to trust, and that's scary too. So I may just end up doing Uber. But so I know you're saying they plan to steal guns from cars, but you know what? That's pretty ballsy in broad daylight. You're liable to just get shot all to pieces trying to do that. What if the guy that just left his car is coming right back? I mean, so yeah, I don't know. There's this is an anti-gun city, I'll tell you that. It's worse than Portland. Now, I'm not walking into the barrel. I'm just going to stand next to the barrel and look down at all the fish. Talk to the fish as they get in the barrel. Public transit. I understand that you can carry your guns on public transit in this state. You can't do that in Portland, I don't believe. I don't know. In a crowd, I'm more dangerous without a gun. Okay, my battery's going dead. I got to go. I didn't plug in before I started this live stream, and I got stuff to do. So, God save our republic.